it is time for a mock draft, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my first mock draft of this 2023 NFL draft coverage. I spent the summer breaking down prospects. I don't like to do mock drafts if I haven't viewed prospects. So if there's a certain player like, why wasn't he in his mock? There's a chance maybe I just haven't had a chance to see that player, right? And I tried I've to watch everybody that's being considered a first-round draft pick. I'm finally ready to go through my mock. I put it up, so if you want to read the print version, it's on thehuddlereport.com. You just click on their mock draft button up there. Otherwise, it's all right here for you. I'm going to go ahead and do it. For this video, I'm going to go ahead and use Pro Football Focus's mock draft simulator. I think they have one of the better ones out there. There's a few other that I like to use as well. But for this one, I'm going to use Pro Football Focus. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and get started. First overall pick is the Atlanta Falcons. And if they're picking first, I think they're going to go with a quarterback. And I have them taking C.J. Stroud. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Brian, Desmond Ridder, they drafted him last year. He looked awesome in their preseason game. I don't care. Because if the Falcons are picking number one overall, chances are they want a quarterback. And you have C.J. Stroud, you have Bryce Young available here. I think they are going to, be picking one of those. Nothing against Desmond Ridder, but he's not at the same level as a C.J. Stroud, as a Bryce Young. So I think they're not going to miss this opportunity to get their quarterback of the future. I personally have the same grade for both Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. And I think the biggest thing that's going to be to teams, and the reason why I pick C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young for this first pick is size. Bryce Young is under 6 foot. He's under 200 pounds. C.J. Stroud is 6'3", 220 pounds. I think that is going to be a difference. Who knows? Maybe Bryce Young ends up being the number one, or the first quarterback taken. Wouldn't shock me. But like I said, in this case, they're going quarterback, and I have them taking C.J. Stroud. All right, so if we move on to the Houston Texans, I don't think they're taking a quarterback. I feel like they feel very confident in Davis Mills, so I have them taking Alabama defensive end Will Anderson. And before I go in, this mock, a lot of my early mock drafts, they're not like what I think necessarily. My mock drafts always tend to be what I think is going to happen. However, in these early drafts, when we don't know a lot of stuff about who teams like and who even is on their roster for the 2023 draft, I tend to kind of go more off my rankings. So some of these picks aren't going to jive with what a lot of other people think because it's my opinion. All right, so like I said, Will Anderson going number 2 as Davis Mills projects to be their starter, a guy that they really like. So I think they take the best player in this draft, a guy that is at that Myles Garrett, Chase Young type level. They could utilize not only just elite talent on the Texans roster, but they could really use that edge defender. Whether it's a 3-4 defense they're running, a 4-3, Will Anderson fits in every single scheme. All right, so if we move on to our third team, this is the Seattle Seahawks, and this is where I have them going quarterback here with Bryce Young. I think they clearly are going to go quarterback. They are running with Drew Lock this year. Geno Smith probably will play at some point. And that's on purpose. They could have gone out and got Baker Mayfield. They could have gone out and got someone, but they chose not to because I think the Seahawks team knows, hey, we've got some talent, but we need to get that franchise quarterback. And so they're going to be bad this year. They're going to be challenging for that number 1 overall pick with the purpose of getting that quarterback. And yeah, they'll tell you they like Drew Lock, that they loved him coming out of college. They're going to take one here. And I think Bryce Young is a perfect fit what they want to do. It's going to give them a lot of Russell Wilson vibes on the field. And I think Seahawks fans, they're going to be ecstatic to get Bryce Young at this point. All right, moving on to the Jets, I have them taking Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia. Jalen Carter is my I really like him. I was about to say he's my second-rated prospect in this class. He's not. But he's a top 5 prospect for me. Guy that can kind of do it all as a defensive tackle. Yes, they do have Quinnen Williams, but with Robert Saleh and this coaching staff, we know that they want to accumulate defensive linemen. You know, they had, when he was in San Francisco, they had DeForest Buckner, they had Eric Armstead, they had drafted Solomon Thomas, they had Nick Bosa, so on and so forth. And I think the chance to get, you know, Quinnen Williams has been good. He hasn't been elite. They've got guys on the edge, but they could use more. And I think sitting here, they hopefully have their quarterback in the future with Zach Wilson. They drafted receivers. They drafted edge pass rushers. They drafted a cornerback. Getting just, you know, the best available player available there, I think is a good move. And I think it will be a guy like Jalen Carter that could really help elevate this team. All right, moving on to the Lions at 5. I actually have them going quarterback here, and I have them taking, if I can find them in the thing, I have them taking, I'm just going to go quarterback, Will Levis. Will Levis as their quarterback, taking him 5th overall. Will Levis, in my opinion, is I don't like him as much as other people, but I think he's going to be a guy that NFL teams really like. He's a good athlete for his size. He's got a strong arm. He really helped elevate Kentucky last year in the SEC. I think he's going to have another good year in 2022. And so I think, you know, he's going to be pushing to be in that top 5. And Detroit, they have a lot of good pieces, but they need that next step at quarterback. And Jared Goff has done well with in his time there, but he's not a franchise quarterback. And I think Will Levis, I think he fits really well with the Lions and Dan Campbell. He seems like a Dan Campbell type player. So it just fits all too well. All right, moving on to the Jaguars. I have them taking a defensive back out of Alabama. I haven't taken Malachi Moore. Now, Pro Football Focus doesn't have Malachi Moore in their system, so I'm just going to put Jordan Battle there because it won't let me just go on without it. Obviously, I don't think Jordan Battle is going to be the 6th overall pick. I don't have him going in the mock draft, but he's an Alabama safety. Malachi Moore is plays that nickel role for Alabama, so you know he's listed as a safety by many. I think I have him ranked as a safety in my rankings. You can put him at cornerback. It'll be kind of curious to see where he plays this upcoming season, how teams view him. He reminded me a lot of Minkah Fitzpatrick when I watched him. I graded Minkah Fitzpatrick as my number 1 cornerback when he came out, and I think Malachi Moore going to the Jaguars would give them that versatile defensive back. They could put him at safety. He could match up in the slot. He could play, be a force player. He has everything that you want out of a safety. You know, who knows? Maybe you could play cornerback for him. But I think he was, like I said, he's one of my top 10 players in this draft, and I think he would be a good value there. At pick 7, I have the Carolina Panthers. I have them taking a pass rusher in Iowa State's Will McDonald. Not Pro Football Focus isn't helping me out too much here. They don't have Iowa State pass rusher Will McDonald in their system. They do have Coastal Carolina center Will McDonald, so I'm going to go ahead and draft him there. Once again, I don't know why he's not in there. I know when the people that run the Combine released their list that people aren't supposed to talk about, Will McDonald was listed in there. I love him as a prospect. I did a film room session on him. I think he's a talented edge rusher that can come around the corner with speed and quickness, bend. He can win with power. Go check out that film room. A lot to like about him. All right, moving on to 8, we have the Chicago Bears. If they don't have Jackson Smith-Njigba in there, he does. Finally, we get a player that's in there. So usually Pro Football Focus does a great job with their simulator. For whatever reason, I know it's early in the season. They have a very limited number of players, whatever. All right, Bears. They could go a lot of different directions here. Right now, they have the Bears picking 8, and a lot of people have them picking there. I think the Bears are going to be picking a little bit higher. And I think they're going to go best player available. Yes, it'd be nice to get a receiver, and I do have them taking one here. But if they're picking in the top 5, I don't think they take a receiver. I think they take like Jalen Carter or someone like that. But I have them taking Jackson Smith and Najibba. They need help at receiver. I think Darnell Mooney is a stud of a receiver. So I think they're going to get by with him there. But they need help. They need other people. And Justin Fields has got experience with Jackson Smith and Najibba. He fits that skill set. Fields had his best success not with the big contested catch guys, but the guys who can win and get open down the field. And I think Smith Najibba is a guy, can work out of the slot. He can work outside. He's going to be a technical route runner and get open. So I think he'd fit well in Luke Getsy's offense. I think he fits well with getting down the field and using speed to get open. So I think this is a great spot for not only Jackson Smith and Najibba, but the Chicago Bears. All right, pick 9, the New York Giants. I have them going quarterback, and I have them going to Florida for Anthony Richardson. Now, maybe this is just me reaching, thinking, hey, got to fit a quarterback in here. They didn't take one last year. Daniel Jones is going to be on the outs. But I think Richardson's got a lot of talent. He's my 3rd-rated quarterback. I actually have him rated over Will Levis, and he's got a ton of potential. And I think, and there's never going to be another Josh Allen, but you've got Brian Daboll as the head coach of the New York Giants, and they need a quarterback. And he had success developing, molding Josh Allen, who was a big, physical, athletic quarterback with a strong arm. And I think you see a lot of that in Anthony Richardson. And I think he might see this moldable piece of clay that he can develop and turn into a superstar quarterback. And I definitely could see that being the pick there. All right, if we move on to the Commanders, I have them going into the secondary, and I have them drafting Cam Smith. Cam Smith is I think he's my 11th rated prospect in this class. The Commanders continuing to build. They got a lot of good pieces on defense. The defense didn't play up to the level that we thought they were last year. They've got a lot of pieces. They could just use more at that cornerback position. And I think Cam Smith is a guy, in my opinion, that can do it all. And so I think, him being the first cornerback taken, like I said, he is I think he's an absolute stud. And so I think the Commanders would get him a good one there. All right, pick 11. I think this is where I'm going to get my biggest pushback because I obviously am a lot higher on this offensive tackle than most, so much that he's not even in the system. And that is Washington's. Yep, not even in the system. That is Washington offensive tackle Jackson Kirkland. So I'm just going to go ahead. I don't have Javon Foster in there. Man, I am not agreeing with Pro Football Focus on this mock draft. Jackson Kirkland, a guy that he's one of my top rated. He's my number 1 offensive tackle, and I know he's out the first week. Had some issues that are caused him. He declared for the draft last year, came back because of an injury issue. Very well, he could not even be a first-round pick because of injury concerns and stuff. And I know he struggled at times. He struggled against Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo against Michigan last year, which soured a lot of people on him. I really like him. And like I said, this mock is my opinions. And the Steelers, the Dan Moore was a rookie last year that they threw into the fire. He didn't play well, but what do you expect out of a rookie? I think that, he's going to be out there again. If he continues to struggle again, I think a guy like a Jackson Kirkland or another offensive tackle could be that pick. All right, number 12, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them going cornerback, and I have them taking Eli Ricks from Alabama. Once again, the Eagles have multiple first-round picks. They're going to just continue to add good pieces. Eli Ricks is a guy that played at LSU. Now he's transferring to Alabama. He's going to get a master's degree in cornerback play under Nick Saban, and he's got size, he's got speed. I think he's only going to get better at Alabama, and I think the Eagles, who have some pieces at cornerback, could just use more help and more depth. All right, pick 13, we have the Minnesota Vikings. I have them going defensive line, and I don't think this guy's going to be there. But I have them taking Alabama's Byron Young, another player. Once again, I'll just go this guy from SMU, DeVary Leverson. They don't have him, but they don't have Byron Young, but they have that guy. No offense, DeVary. But I have them taking Byron Young from Alabama. A guy who shows a lot of promise that Alabama has always churned out defensive tackles, and it's not just, he's taking an Alabama guy for them. I think Byron Young's got a lot of potential. He's my second-rated defensive tackle, ahead of guys like Brian Breezy of Clemson, ahead of other Ika from Baylor, a lot of guys that other teams have. I really like Byron Young. And I think, the Vikings are going to that Vic Fangio-style defense with Ed Donatel as their defensive coordinator. They've got good edge rushers. They just need now pieces for their 3-4, and I think Young's a guy that can kind of play all over that. You put him at that defensive end spot in that 3-4, and he can be a playmaker for them. All right, pick 14, the Raiders. I mentioned him earlier, and this is Brian Breezy. Defensive tackle from Clemson. Once again, the Raiders quietly don't have a lot of holes, and I think they're going to be picking, if it wasn't for their division being tough, they look like a playoff caliber team, and I think they just need help on that interior, and I think Breezy is a guy. I know Pro Football Focus had him rated as their 6th rated prospect. I have him as a kind of like that 20-ish range, and I think he'd be a good fit for Josh McDaniels and the Raiders here. All right, Texans picking 15, their second pick. This is the pick from Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson trade. I have them going receiver and getting Kayshon Boutte. The Texans, they got Davis Mills as their quarterback. They got Nico Collins, who's kind of been a possession-type guy, throw it up to him down the field, move the chains with him. They drafted John Mechie, who unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer, so he's not going to play this year, and he looked to be that slot guy. Sounds like it's very curable cancer, which, I wish him all the best. Sounds like he'll be back. And those two, and not to forget about Brandon Cooks, but they can just continue to need more weapons. And you've got Nico Collins, you've got John Mechie, you've got Brandon Cooks. Just give them one more guy, a guy that's got the potential to be an elite guy, and I think that's Kayshon Boutte, and surround Davis Mills with talent. All right, moving on to the Patriots at 16. I have them going cornerback, and I have them going to the Big Ten to get Penn State's Joey Porter Jr. I think he fits a lot with what the Patriots want to do. They like to have different styles of defensive backs, and I think Porter would give them that physical presence that they had like with a J.C. Jackson, who's now with the Chargers, and just give them that big physical athletic type shutdown corner. We see guys, J.C. Jackson was a guy just like Joey Porter who has that size in that, and they developed him into a shutdown corner. I could see Joey Porter being the same. All right, pick 17, we have the Tennessee Titans. I have them going tight end, and I have them taking Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. To me, this was a lot of just who was available. And Michael Mayer's a top 10 prospect for me. I don't think he's a top 10 caliber pick as a tight end. Usually, he's not on the Kyle Pitts level, but I think he is kind of that next step down, that TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant type level, where he's not this elite playmaker, but he can do every single thing that you want. And yes, the Titans got Austin Hooper, and they drafted the guy out of Maryland. but I think Mayer fits with what this team wants to do. They want to be a physical, run the ball with Derrick Henry, and then give Tannehill weapons. And they've got Treylon Burks, but they could really use that tight end. And I think Delanie Walker was a huge piece of the offense for the Titans several years ago, and they really haven't had an elite level tight end since then. Jonnu Smith had all the potential, but he just wasn't there. I think Michael Mayer gives them that elite tight end, a guy that could be a Mark Andrews type. He can be a TJ Hawkinson type, and just give and control the middle of that field, be a good blocker, and everything that you want out of a tight end. And I think he's just tremendous value here. All right, 18 Philadelphia Eagles. I have him going defensive end, Myles Murphy. Pro Football Focus rated him as their 5th best prospect. I kind of have him being in this 15 to 20 range. A guy that's got the juice off the edge, but he fits with. I have other defensive ends rated over Myles Murphy, but I think he fits with what the Eagles want. He's a bigger defensive end, whereas some of the other guys I have going are a little bit smaller, more of outside linebacker, 3-4 type guys. So I think the Eagles, they've got Brandon Graham, they've got Josh Sweat, they've got a few other guys. They could Brandon Graham's only got so much time left in him, and so I think they're looking typical Eagles fashion. Draft a guy, sit him for a year as a backup, and then boom, he's ready to start in year 2. And I think Myles Murphy's a good fit right there. All right. The Baltimore Ravens pick 19. This might be another controversial pick, but I have them going running back, and I have them taking the team that takes Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is a top 5 rated prospect for me. And I'm bullish on running backs. I don't like taking running backs in the top 10. And so I think when you have an elite guy like a Bijan Robinson, he tends to probably fall in the teens, early 20s. And I think the Ravens would see him available here and snatch him up. They drafted J.K. Dobbins a few years ago. He got hurt. He does not look the same so far in this preseason. They've kind of cycled through running backs. And so with Bijan Robinson, it gives the Ravens a true elite running back. And they're, a run-first team, and Lamar Jackson's developing every year as a pass rusher or as a thrower. But I think giving him an elite-level running back and a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and be a weapon as a receiver, as a receiving back, I think could really help this passing attack. And they're going back to doing more with their tight ends that they did early on in Lamar's career. And I think they're seeing that it's a struggle to get elite-level receivers and keep them and develop them and whatever. And so I think this just allows them to kind of continue to do what they want. All right, pick 20. We have the Arizona Cardinals, and I have them taking a pass rusher from Washington, and this is Zion Tupola-Fetui. And I probably butchered that, and I do apologize, because he is one of my favorite prospects in this class. I have him as a top 15 player. It reminds me a lot of Joe Tryon, who's now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as a guy that maybe a lot of people know about because he's playing out in the West Coast and at Washington. But this is a guy that I think is, he's my 3rd-rated pass rusher. I think he's explosive. He's fast. He's got a lot of potential. He's got good size for the position as well. And so I think getting him at pick 20, we're seeing what Joe Tyron's doing with the Buccaneers. And I think the Cardinals losing Chandler Jones, and I know they went and got Cam Smith from San Diego State, and they got another guy too in the middle of the draft. I think going out and getting an elite guy would really do wonders for this defense. Pick 21, this is the Seahawks. This is in that Russell Wilson trade. I also have him going edge rusher, but I have them going with B.J. Ojulari from LSU. And I know they drafted Boye Mafe and I think he's a good fit for what the Seahawks want. But I think it's just, once again, just getting talent, and they need to go defense heavy. They don't have much for pass rushers, so even if Boye Mafe just blows it up this year and is great for them, they need more than him. And I think getting a guy like B.J. Ojulari, who could potentially play some strong side linebacker for them as well, and kind of be that strong side linebacker who comes down to be a defensive end, I definitely think that'd be a good fit for the Seahawks. Pick 22, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. I have them going offensive tackle, and I have them taking Peter Skorinski from Northwestern, reuniting him with his teammate and Rashawn Slater, who I don't know if they even played together because Rashawn Slater didn't play his last season at Northwestern. But, the Chargers were a team leading up to last year's draft. We heard them talking about they wanted to get a right tackle. Trevor Penning was the name that we had heard. A couple other guys that they wanted to be their right tackle and to get two bookends. You have Rashawn Slater at the left tackle, and now you want that right tackle to really protect Justin Herbert. And they did draft Zion Johnson last year, a guard who's going to be at right guard, and I think he's going to do awesome there. I just don't think they're done. The defense is pretty well set. They've got a lot of great pieces. They could sure add a defensive tackle or somebody else, but I think they want to protect Justin Herbert. They know what they have in him. They know he's the future. He's the franchise. And so I think they are saying, hey, let's go out and let's get this elite, another stud tackle, and let's keep Justin Herbert upright and healthy. All right, my Dolphins pick 23. They did lose their first-round pick, but this is the pick that they got from San Francisco from San Francisco. So in San Francisco trading up. So I have them going interior offensive line, and I have them taking Jarrett Patterson from Notre Dame. Their head coach coming over is a run game guy, and Mike McDaniel knows the importance of the offensive line. And the Dolphins have invested a lot, but they still have a lot of holes. And so I think getting a center like Jarrett Patterson will do wonders for the interior of their offensive line, give them that pivot in the middle, and give them someone that they can, continue to feed, and then now improve their running game even more. All right, Colts, pick 24. I have them going cornerback Keely Ringo from Georgia. Just give them another cornerback. They traded away Rock Ya-Sin to get Yannick Ngakoue. They could just use more help on the outside, and Ringo's a guy that I don't have him as highly rated as maybe somebody others do, but I think he has a lot of potential. I just loved his potential. I just wanted to see more, and so I think we're going to have a chance to see that more this year. And so I think he'd be a good fit there. All right, if we move on to the Dallas Cowboys, I have them going pass rusher. I have them going to Kansas State and taking Felix and Duque Asamoah. You look at the Cowboys, they lost Randy Gregory, didn't replace him. And so I think they can kind of go one in a couple different directions. I wouldn't be shocked if they went linebacker and utilized Micah Parsons more on the edge, but I think they like to kind of move him around. So I think getting a true defensive end like Duque Asamoah or Uzama, I think it gives them that pass rusher that they can bring off the edge. I think he fits well within Dan Quinn's defense. And then, like I said, gives Micah Parsons the ability to roam better. All right, the Bengals, pick 26. I have them taking Eric Gilbert. Eric Gilbert's an interesting prospect in the fact that he's got the potential. I mean, he's getting compared to Kyle Pitts already. And he's played basically one season as a freshman. I don't even know if he really played a whole season. And then he didn't even play it all last year after he transferred to Georgia. Physically, traits-wise, he has elite traits. He's got the ability to be a difference maker I don't think he's got Kyle Pitts level athletic traits. Kyle Pitts was a just freak of an athlete, but he's like a Darren Waller type, that those athletic guys that could go up and get it, and I think he could be a weapon. The Bengals, they've got a good culture going there. They've got a lot of talent. You got an elite quarterback on the rise with Joe Burrow, but they don't have a tight end, and they lost C.J. Uzomah to the Jets, and they didn't really replace him. And so I think they, and Joe Burrow likes to use the tight end, so I think this would be a natural fit. And, the Bengals, they like to take guys from big schools, so this definitely fits with what they want to do. All right, pick 27, Detroit Lions. I have them going linebacker, and I have them taking Clemson's Trenton Simpson. And to me, once again, he just seems like a Dan Campbell type guy. He's physical, he's fast, he flies around and makes plays, and I think that's definitely a spot that the Lions don't have. Will they take a stacked linebacker here? I don't know. But to me, Simpson is a tremendous value here based off of my rankings, and I just think he'd be a good fit. All right, pick 28, Green Bay Packers. I have them going offensive tackle, and I have them taking Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. I've seen some people put Paris Johnson as like a top 5 prospect, and he played guard. To me, that's holding me back on him is he played guard last year for Ohio State, right guard. They're going to move him out to left tackle, and to me, it's too hard to really project him that high when you haven't seen him play the position. It's different, I guess, if you move a tackle into guard. So what's the difference? But Packers like players like him. David Bakhtiari, how much longer does he have? They got issues at right. They're playing Elgin Jenkins at right tackle, who's probably better at going inside. And so I think just giving them a guy like Paris Johnson who could play on the outside and move Jenkins, who's probably their best offensive lineman, inside where he's better suited. Not that he can't play right tackle. But I think that'll just be a good fit for what they want to do. All right, Kansas City, I have them going edge rusher. I know that they have George Karlaftis, who they just took, so I get that. But I just look at the Chiefs, and I just think they're going to play in a lot of shootouts. And they're going to need pass rushing help. So Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame, just give him another edge rusher. You got Frank Clark. Once again, I think they would be willing to move on from him if they have if George Karlaftis continues to play well like he's shown this preseason. Getting a guy like Isaiah Foskey, just give him more pass rushers. Because with Patrick Mahomes, you're going to score points, and the other teams are going to be playing behind. And it's better to have a good defensive line, a good pass rush. It can mask a lot of weaknesses, a lot of issues per se, and I think a guy like Foskey would definitely be able to do that for him. All right, last couple picks. Number 30, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have them going defensive backfield and getting Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew. I really like him. He reminds me of a lot of TCU tends to get smaller cornerbacks who are just tough, hard-nosed, good athletes. He's the next in line, and I think he just gives the Buccaneers yet another corner they can match him up with different receivers. He plays bigger than his size. I'm a big fan of his. And then finally, the Buffalo Bills. I have them going defensive line. I have them taking Florida's Gervon Dexter, the defensive tackle out of Florida. He has got the potential to be a dynamic interior pass rusher. And I think he would be a guy that gives them, they've got guys on their interior, but he just gives them that potential to be a playmaker, a disruptor, and maybe just an issue that they need. So if we take a look at this once again, top 10, I have C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Jalen Carter, Remember when we get to number 6, this wasn't actually Jordan Brattle. This was Malachi Moore. Wherever he didn't have him, same thing right here. It's Will McDonald, the defensive end, not the center, from Coastal Carolina. I also had Jackson Kirkland going 11 to the Steelers. But I like this draft. My first mock's always a little bit tough, and then also 13 I had Byron Young from Alabama. First mock drafts are always a little tough just because it's just so raw, and you're going off of what you've heard or what there's so much more that happens throughout the season. But it's just a fun exercise to kind of see where my rankings are at, kind of how guys could fit. I mean, by all means, this would probably be terrible once leading up to the draft, but it is definitely fun. I plan to do more mock drafts on the channel, so make sure you're watching these. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it. If you don't like something, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.